Tonight on Elon Local News.
Winter blast, single-digit temperatures and snowfall across the country. Tonight, millions are without power, making it difficult for one Elon student to join virtual class.
A new coronavirus variant spreading in North Carolina as the vaccine continues to roll out. University physician Dr. Jeanette Archinal joins us live tonight with what you need to know.
And celebrating Valentine's Day, Elon faculty couples share their love stories.
Those stories and more.
Elon Local News starts right now.
From the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for the first Elon Local News of the spring semester. I'm Brian Ray.
And I'm Maeve Ashbrook. Tonight, millions of people are without power as freezing temperatures and a massive winter storm makes its way across the United States. Most of the outages are in Texas, where Elon sophomore Katie Cox is without power in Dallas. Cox is remote learning for the semester and is worried she will be unable to join her class later tonight.
Definitely nerve-wracking, having to miss those classes, worrying like what if it goes out in the middle of class, having email my teacher saying, hey, if I leave or if something happens, it's because I've lost power.
Tonight in Dallas, temperatures will drop to single digits following a few inches of snow from the weekend. Cox says she's never seen so much snow in Texas, and the state's response is limited.
We are not prepared for this kind of weather. We were talking about it just a few minutes ago. Like our houses, the way our houses are built, they're not made to keep us warm in this kind of weather, period. Like my house is it's so cold. You can see some of the paneling starting to crack.
The storm system is making its way to the Carolinas tonight and will bring rain and snow to the Northeast tomorrow. About half of the country is under winter weather advisories. And Naomi Washington will have your full Phoenix 5-day forecast coming up.
Today, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services reported just under 2,500 cases of COVID-19 today, a 3-month low. The downward trend in case numbers is also being seen here on campus.
After a spike in cases last week, the university reported 4 new cases today, bringing the total active case count to 79, with 224 students in quarantine.
And while testing continues to find new cases, the UK variant of COVID-19 is not far from Alamance County. It was traced back to cases in neighboring Guilford County and Mecklenburg County last week. We now have university physician Dr. Jeanette Archinal live to talk about the variant and more on coronavirus at Elon. Dr. Archinal, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me here.
So is the university working on the assumption that either the UK variant or the South African variant is already here on campus?
Absolutely. And in fact, it's not just the UK and the South African variants. There's also a Brazil variant. There's a new one that's been identified in California, and there's a couple of other more minor variants floating around. So we're assuming we've had some of these variants on campus since the end of last year.
And how concerned should students be about these variants on campus?
Actually, not horribly. The variant is just one aspect of the virus. The reality is that you protect yourself from these new variants the same way you protect yourself from the original virus. Wear a mask, physically distance, wash your hands, all the boring stuff that everybody's been doing all the way through. The significance of the variants is merely that it shows that this is a constantly changing virus, just like the flu virus constantly changes.
Yeah, and with the new required weekly testing this semester, are you at all concerned about students maybe letting their guard down because they are getting tested every week?
It's one of the things that I worry about a lot. I think it's very important that everybody remembers that a test is only as good as the moment it's done. It doesn't predict if you're going to be contagious 6 hours later. It doesn't predict whether you're going to catch the virus 4 hours later from somebody else. So having a test doesn't mean you don't need to mask. It doesn't mean it's okay to have a party. If 10 people are all tested at 11:30 in the morning and all test negative, it doesn't mean you can then spend all afternoon in a restaurant laughing and joking and sitting next to each other and not wearing masks.
Within the Elon community, has there been any evidence that people who contracted the virus in the fall have been reinfected this semester or even over the winter term?
There certainly have been at least a couple of cases of which I'm aware of people who tested positive over the summer or in the late spring, and then tested positive again in the late fall and early winter. But that's not surprising.
And the CDC is now recommending that maybe wearing 2 masks is more effective than just one. Do you think people here at Elon should be double masking?
The really important thing about masking is an effective mask. So it doesn't really matter whether you single mask or double mask, so long as you wear it properly and it fits properly. It's all to do with how many layers of fabric there are between your mouth and nose and what you're breathing onto the person near you. So it's better to have a single well-fitting mask than 2 poorly fitting masks. It's really common sense when you think about it.
The CDC recently announced that those who are fully vaccinated are going to no longer need to quarantine if listed as a close contact. So first of all, is the university going to be following that policy?
Elon is following that policy. We have been waiting excitedly for it for the last month because we expected this to come out based on the data. And in consultation with our local health department, we will be following that policy. I think one of the things people need to realize about CDC guidelines is they are just guidelines. Any local health department can be more restrictive if it wishes to be. Fortunately, Alamance County are letting us not quarantine people who are fully vaccinated.
Dr. Archinall, thank you for joining us and for your insight tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we spoke to Elon students about the new COVID-19 variant and double masking, some saying they're not changing their habits while others are becoming more cautious.
I haven't really changed anything I've been doing because all I've really heard about is the double masking, and I'm not doing that, so.
You always have to be careful. So I feel like the new strand definitely makes me more cautious and like going around less people, keeping my social circle smaller, but definitely keeping the same precautions in place.
If it comes to that point where it reaches this school and it's become a real problem, then yes, I probably will start double masking.
The university has not said if it will require students, faculty, and staff to wear 2 masks if the new variant spreads to campus, but as of now, you must wear a mask everywhere on campus when you aren't in your own living space.
For first-year students, transitioning to college and living in a dorm can be exciting. But for some, the fall semester wasn't what they hoped for due to COVID-19 regulations. Former first-year student Jeremy Monroe says she decided to leave Elon because COVID-19 made it difficult to meet people.
Because of social distancing, you're not really able to meet too many people. So you pretty much just have to get along with whoever's in your class or the people that you live with. So.
Now Monroe is pursuing her passion for music independently at home in Charlotte, North Carolina. As of now, she has not enrolled at another school.
Because I didn't know if I should have stayed at Elon and see what might be in store for the future, or if altogether it might be better if I just remove myself from the university and take some time to put things in order.
Vice President for Enrollment Greg Zeiser says Elon has 29 new first-year students this semester and 26 first-year students who transferred from other universities.
New tonight, the White Caucus hosted by the Performing Arts Department is back on after being postponed last week. A caucus is a common space for people with common identity to talk about racism. This Thursday, any student in the department is welcome to attend. The first meeting will focus on how to proceed considering the first session was postponed due to students' concerns. Elon Jr. and acting major Will Bruno originally signed up for the caucus when he received the email, but became concerned about it, moving him and other students to speak out.
Most white people weren't raised to have these conversations and weren't trained on how to do them well.
And as the Performing Arts Department works to restructure its session, one expert who you just saw is explaining why a white caucus might be held. Craig Elliott researches and writes about effective white caucuses and says it's important for the institution running the caucus to set the framing for it.
Most white people weren't raised to have these conversations and weren't trained on how to do them well. And so that time and space allows us to get better, to do our own practice and do our own work, and to be able to learn how to have these conversations effectively with each other.
Students say there has been a lack of awareness for the Performing Arts White Caucus, and most were either unaware of the event or did not know it was postponed.
Tonight, the North Carolina Republican Party is deciding if it should condemn Senator Richard Burr over his vote to convict former President Donald Trump. Burr is one of 7 Republicans who voted to convict Trump of incitement of insurrection during his second impeachment trial over the weekend. North Carolina GOP Chairman Michael Whatley said Saturday that Burr's decision to vote for conviction is, quote, shocking and disappointing. Burr said in a statement that he believes Trump bears responsibility for the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Trump was acquitted of the charge with a 57-43 vote, falling short of the 2/3 majority needed.
Elon Athletics is sending an anonymous survey to all student athletes tomorrow asking about inclusivity in the athletics department. The Athletics Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee will send out the survey. Associate Director of Athletics Faith Shearer, who oversees diversity and inclusion efforts in Elon Athletics, says the results will be important in deciding what specific changes need to be made.
We really want to gauge sort of how open this environment is to having the kind of conversations that we need to have.
Shearer emphasized the importance of creating an inclusive environment since at least 26% of Elon athletes are people of color.
In life, that people be able to bring their whole selves to something. And if our students feel that they can't do that, then they're not maximizing their potential anywhere, including the athletic field.
The committee, which is made up of student athletes, coaches, and athletic staff, will make suggested changes to Athletic Director Dave Blank. And there's a busy week ahead for the Elon Phoenix. ENN Sports Director Annemarie Bonner has more. Annemarie? And we apologize for those technical difficulties. Going to take over for Annemarie here. Volleyball, oops. We'll check back in with Annemarie later. We apologize again for that. And we're going to check back in with Annemarie Bonner for that sports update. We do again apologize for those difficulties. Annemarie, what can we expect this week?
Thanks, Brian. The Phoenix are in for a busy spring with fall and spring starting this month. With fall sports canceled due to COVID-19, normal fall sports like football and volleyball are playing this semester. If you're an Elon sports fan, buckle up because there's a lot to look forward to this week. Volleyball will start their season Thursday, just around the corner at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Football's home opener is this Saturday against Davidson College. Men's soccer also starts their season at home this Sunday against Liberty University. Student tickets for football will be available on a first-come, first-served basis, starting tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. On Phoenix Connect, a student must purchase a ticket with someone in their close circle to attend the game. Tickets will only be given in pairs, and students will be notified if they have received tickets by Thursday night. The form will close on Thursday at noon if not all tickets are taken by that time. Now, in the world of tennis, Elon's men's team has started off strong with a current 4-1 record. Elon's senior on the team, Kyle Frankel, says a new season comes with new opportunities on and off the court.
The whole team is extremely excited about playing the whole season out, and we're looking forward to that and also having closure with the conference tournament, hopefully. And so, yeah, we've been training really hard and just looking forward to every single match and taking it as it goes.
Their season started in January after their spring season was cut short last year due to COVID-19. Senior Jacob Bicknell says the coronavirus has brought some challenges, but overall the team is adjusting to new protocols to keep everyone safe.
It's been tough sometimes, but now just focusing on each practice, focusing on doing the right things, and yeah, just going through just doing the right things pretty much.
For all things Elon Sports, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and click the Sports tab.
Thank you, Annemarie. Certainly a lot to look forward to this week in sports. Maeve, I don't know about you, but I'm so sick of waking up to this dreary weather, the rain, the cold. I'm sick of it.
It's hard to go outside because it just feels like piercing, wet, just freeze all over. But I do have to say, at home, it's -4 degrees.
Ooh.
So I am thankful for Elon more than ever today
Well,
as far as
hopefully,
weather.
Naomi Washington has some positive news for us somewhere in that forecast. Naomi, what can we expect?
Thanks so much, Maeve and Brian. Here's the 5-day forecast for this week. In this past week, we've been in boots and raincoats as we've endured some pretty cold and rainy weather. And as you can see behind me, it's pretty rainy here in downtown Elon. However, this week is looking up. Tomorrow, it'll be sunny with a forecasted high of 52 and a low of 26. Wednesday, it'll be partly cloudy with a high of 46 and a low of 31. And Thursday, don't put your raincoat away yet because it'll be a forecasted high of 40 and a low of 34 and rainy. And then we have a sunny weekend coming with Friday being a high of 48 and a low of 24. And Saturday, a high of 44 and a low of 25. And it'll be perfect timing for the upcoming home football and softball games. And this weekend will be perfect weather to be outside and enjoy being with friends. But again, don't put your umbrellas down yet because there's more rain on the way. Back to you all in the studio.
Naomi.
After watching Elon Local News tonight, you may be one of the hundreds of students tuning into ABC to watch Matt James' journey to find love. Brent Smith oversees the on-campus internet television system Philo. He is able to see what trends and what the campus community is watching. And he says he notices a significant spike during the ABC series, The Bachelor.
Every Monday, about 100. And The Bachelors are very sharp. It's like there's about 100 TVs that turn on at the beginning of the show and turn off at the end of the show.
Nearly 4,500 students who live in either an on-campus residence hall or apartment, as well as faculty and staff, have access to Philo. Smith says he also noticed interest in the impeachment hearings of former President Donald Trump, with Philo users watching both CNN and Fox News.
A new Elon poll found more than 50% of North Carolina residents support the legalization of marijuana for recreational use. The number of people opposed to legalizing marijuana dropped from about 50% to 34% since 2017. And tonight, as the Confederate monument in Graham remains, one Elon senior is using her Lumen Scholar project to take a look at the conversation surrounding Silent Sam, the Confederate monument that was toppled in Chapel Hill back in 2018. Elon Sr. and Chapel Hill native Sydney Dye's virtual play Silenced is being used to look at how social media, theatrical design, and storytelling can help cultivate conversation around controversial issues.
Heard a lot of different opinions about the statue. Should it stay? Should it go? But once the statue fell, seeing the reaction on social media and how polarized this community actually was really interesting and kind of fit perfectly with what I was looking at.
Dye and her team will dub their voices over a 3D model of the virtual stage instead of doing a typical Zoom reading. The show opens virtually this Thursday and will be used to help Dye test a methodology about inspiring conversation surrounding a controversial subject. Tickets for 3 free performances this week are available at silencedproduction.com.
For some Elon faculty and staff, the Day of Love doesn't end with Valentine's Day. Stick with us.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Tomorrow is Mardi Gras, and if you're an Elon sophomore, you could get a free t-shirt. Elon University's Student Government Association plans to host a Mardi Gras dinner in all 3 dining halls tomorrow from 5 to 8 p.m., and the first 450 members of the class of 2023 will receive a free t-shirt. SGA is partnering with Elon Dining and the President's Office for the annual event.
According to CampusExplorer.com, 63% of college women hope to meet their spouse in college. And while you may or may not feel the same, I spoke with 2 Elon faculty couples whose love stories certainly might have you on the lookout for your forever friend, just in time for Valentine's Day.
We were friends our junior year. Interestingly enough, we were both RAs. And she won all the RA awards, and I did not.
To Elon University, Chair of the Ready and Resilient Committee Jeff and instructor in English Chrissy Stein say it's no surprise that they ended up working in higher education together.
Sometimes Chrissy has a perspective from students who she's heard from in class, or I have a perspective from someone I talked to on campus, and they're totally different. And then we try to make sense of, oh, well, how can we solve that?
With offices just a fountain away, the two say seeing each other during the school day is rare. But for Tita Ramirez and Drew Perry, who met in grad school, it's quite the opposite.
Really, we're at work all the time. Like, I see you across the kitchen table while we're marking papers.
Both teaching in the English department, the couple says they've shared countless memories at Elon, including one night in the old Whitley parking lot when Perry asked Ramirez to move in with him.
I love to be able to talk about my day stuff with my nighttime person.
They say they feel lucky to have the opportunity to teach at the same school.
Specific to writing courses, you know, I'm drawing a paycheck to talk about the thing I love most in the
thing.
world.
That's it.
Besides you.
Right.
Both couples agree that Elon's become a part of their family.
The stability that provides is, you can't quantify it.
And as far as Valentine's Day traditions,
we often do the same thing unbeknownst to each other. One year it was like blowing up 100 balloons, and I had hidden mine away in a closet, and he stayed up late, and I came downstairs and all these balloons were out, and I thought, how did he get my balloons? And I opened the door and all my balloons were inside.
So much for joining us.
Have a great week, Elon, and stay healthy.